Oh, that was a really bumpy landing, wasn't it, Teddy? But we had a lot of fun on the zip wire, and I know from what you've said that you really like to see me whizzing through the trees on the zip wire. And the reason that we've been on the zip wire today is because I have a story all about planes. I think it would help if I take off my flying goggles. Oh, that's better. And put these glasses on instead. It will definitely help with the story. Are you ready, Teddy? He's ready. The book is called Violet the Pilot, and it's by Steve Breen. Everyone in town knew that Violet Van Winkle was a little different. For starters, she and her parents lived in an odd-looking house next to the junkyard her father managed. And while other girls were playing with dolls and tea sets, Violet played with monkey wrenches and needle-nose pliers. Violet was a mechanical genius. By the time she was 2, she could fix almost any broken appliance in the house. By 4, she could take apart the grandfather clock and completely reassemble it. Since she didn't have any friends aside from her dog Orville, she would spend hours tinkering with things from the yard. Violet's parents were very proud of her, although they weren't too happy the time she put a lawnmower engine on her cousin's tricycle. He's going a little bit speedy now. The older she got, the more interesting Violet's creations became. Around the time she turned 8, she was building elaborate machines from scratch, and not just any old machines. Flying machines. Her parents couldn't believe their eyes when they saw Violet zoom by for the first time. They were a little worried in the beginning, but they quickly saw that she was a pretty good pilot. "Careful not to hit the house," Violet's father would yell, and "Put on a sweater," her mother would add. Violet used anything she could find in the junkyard to make her wonderful contraptions. There was the tub bubbler, and the bicycopter, the rocket can, and the pogo plane, and the wingamajig, to name a few. Violet's engineering was pretty sound. The only real hazards were tall trees, piles of junk in the yard, and bugs in her teeth. Kids at school would see Violet eating lunch alone and make fun of her strange books and greasy coveralls. Claude and Clyde Mulrooney were especially obnoxious. Then one day, Violet noticed a poster in the shop window. "Air show, October the 20th, it read. That's only 2 weeks away, Violet thought. Can kids fly in the show? Is homemade aircraft allowed? That night, Violet sat in her room thinking about the air show. She knew it would be a good feeling if one of her planes won a prize, and maybe then the kids at school would be nice to her. Violet pictured exactly where she would hang her blue ribbon. It's her rosette there. She's imagining it. She and Orville spent the next few days combing the junkyard for just the right materials. When they had collected a giant pile of stuff, the building began. One day, the Mulrooney twins happened to pass by. "Look, it's that girl from school," one of them said. "What are you doing, weirdo?" "I'm building an airplane," she told them. The twins exploded in laughter, then mumbled something mean as they walked away. Orville barked at the boys, but Violet just went back to her project. "Take it easy, buddy," she said. "We're too busy to worry about them." Finally, after days of hard work, Violet had finished making her flying machine. She named the magnificent new craft the Hornet. "Wait till the people in the grandstand see me flying this," Violet said to Orville. The test flight was a success. On the day of the big air show, Violet took off, bursting with excitement. Her parents' faces had beamed with pride when they wished her luck, and she thought about that as she flew through the clear autumn sky. She calculated that the trip would take about 20 minutes. She would arrive just in time for the start of the show. Suddenly, something caught Violet's eye. In the river below, a group of people were waving frantically. Violet lowered her altitude to get a better look. A troop of Boy Scouts had run into trouble while canoeing. Violet knew she had to help, fast. It wasn't easy rescuing all the boys, but Violet piloted the Hornet with careful precision. Saving the Scoutmaster from going over the falls was particularly dangerous. Violet dropped the grateful Scouts off at the hospital. Then she checked her watch. 3:30, she said to Orville sadly. We've missed the air show. She turned her plane towards home and sighed. It was a miserable feeling. That evening, Violet had no appetite for dinner. She just went upstairs and sat on her bed. All of a sudden, she heard lots of noise outside the house. She and Orville went to the window and discovered that a crowd of people had gathered. Somebody spotted her. There's Violet, the boy shouted jubilantly. There's our hero. The Van Winkles stepped outside, squinting from all the flashbulbs that were popping. The press, the mayor, the fire and police chiefs, even kids and teachers from school had all learned of the rescue that day and had come to praise her. Young lady, please accept this Medal of Valour as a token of our gratitude and esteem, said the mayor, and he gave Orville a new collar with a licence that read Canine Hero. From that day on, Violet's parents let her fly whenever she wanted, but her mum still made her wear a sweater. I hope you like that. It was good that Violet got a medal in the end, wasn't it, for all her hard work and her bravery. And for a special reason, I've brought some medals to show you. On Friday this week, it's a very special celebration, which is something we call VE Day, and it celebrates 75 years since the end of the war in Europe. So I brought some special medals which have been in our family a long time, which my husband's great uncle earned during the war. And he was a pilot, just like Teddy, and flew planes during the war, so he was very, very brave. There's some pictures of him and the other airmen that he knew, and there are his medals. And can you imagine at the end of the war, when everybody had been very frightened and sad and upset for 6 whole years, wondering what was going to happen, that on the day that the war ended, they all came out into the streets and they partied and they ate and they drank and they waved their flags and they all hugged and smiled and sang and danced, and they were really happy again. And I think that you can imagine what that would be like. I think we can all look forward to that happening again. Well, Snowy Owls, this is the end of our week of stories, and I hope that you have a lovely weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all for more stories next week. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.